Kayla Harrison, the two-time Olympic judo champion, has spurned UFC and Bellator and has decided to re-sign with PFL. And fans are very happy with her decision. Here's what's next for the MMA star after re-signing with the PFL. First up, the big news. Kayla Harrison, who was a two-time Olympic judo champion and one of the strongest female players in the MMA, has decided to re-sign with PFL. Did you know that before she decided to re-sign, Bellator also made her a lucrative offer earlier this year? But PFL had the right to match any offer, and it seemed like they wanted her on the team. In a recent news release, PFL stated that the new contract was a multi-year one. Harrison has been working with the organization for a while now and is also a two-time PFL Women's Lightweight Champion. According to her, the PFL had the right to match any contract she received, and she is happy that they stepped up to make her an offer. ESPN has Harrison tied for number 7 on its women's MMA pound-for-pound list currently. The UFC had also made her an offer, but it wasn't in the same ballpark as the ones handed out by PFL and Bellator. At one point, Harrison was almost ready to sign with Bellator and fight Chris Cyborg next month, but PFL ended up matching the Bellator offer in late February, and that changed the game completely. Next, the criticisms she's faced for her decision. The big decision to re-sign with PFL also came with some heavy criticism from fans. And even though there are people who support her unconditionally, Harrison said that she is aware of criticisms that she has yet to fight the best female fighters in the world. As you might already know, Cyborg and other top-tier fighters near her weight class are not in PFL currently, and PFL is where Harrison dominates in a thin division. PFL has also added former Bellator women's featherweight champion Julia Budd for the upcoming 2022 season, and Budd might just end up being the biggest test to date for Harrison. In a recent interview, Harrison stated that she understood where the criticism was coming from, and she doesn't disagree with the critics. Harrison stated that she is aware that people want her to fight the top dogs in the game, but she also explained how she wasn't running away from a challenge and wanted to fight more experienced players. Her current plan is to fight in PFL's women's lightweight season this year, and then take a super fight against a big name opponent afterward. The PFL has assured me and promised me that they don't care if they have to cross-promote, co-promote, Harrison said. They don't care if it's on planet Earth or planet Pluto. They want to make that fight happen just as much as I do. In a recent news release, PFL CEO Peter Murray said that the organization would be launching a pay-per-view super fight division, which would include Harrison in a fight at some juncture. Murray also said that it was an honor to announce that the PFL had successfully signed the most dominant female MMA fighter in the world to a new multi-year agreement. Harrison defeated Taylor Guardado by a second-round submission, which helped her win her second PFL women's lightweight title in October last year. The fighter is from Ohio and currently lives and trains in Florida at the American Top Team. She has fought in PFL since her MMA debut in June 2018 and says that her goal is to become the greatest women's MMA fighter of all time. Now, let's look into her future and next potential fights. Based on the potential fights that could take place in the UFC and Bellator and the amazing new opportunities she could have gotten, why would Harrison decide to join the PFL? Some have speculated that fighting for the promotion could be a way for her to enhance her current skills and make a name for herself in the industry. Harrison also discussed with Helwani that Ronda Rousey was a huge influence on her when she was growing up, and in the new age of MMA, she wants to be the new Rousey of MMA. The PFL also recently signed former Bellator champion Julia Budd and has a growing relationship with the boxing champion Clarissa Shields. And by signing a new lucrative deal with Harrison, the PFL could potentially entice others to join and make their women's division competitive. Having a fighter of Harrison's caliber not competing for other agencies like the UFC or Bellator is a quality that the PFL prides itself on having. This is because it is rare when a big free agent chooses to stay with a promotion instead of testing other unknown waters or leaving for greener pastures. Now, in other news, the fight between Maia and Fiorot. As all MMA fans probably know, Fiorot had been set to take on former title challenger Jessica Eye in an intense fight this weekend at the UFC 272 in Las Vegas. But Eye was forced from the card abruptly last week because she suffered from an undisclosed injury during training. But the result seems to be another step forward in competition for the Beast. This is because Jennifer Maia has now agreed to face Fiorot later this month at UFC Columbus, which will take place on March 26th. Maia recently faced a January rematch loss to Caitlin Chookagian, which took place on the main event card part of UFC Fight Night Qatar vs Chikadze. That defeat stopped any momentum the Brazilian had been hoping to build with her neat win over Jessica Ai in July last year. And for Fiorot, this fight will represent the fourth of her short, glorious octagon career. Fiorot joined the UFC back in January of 2021 and created a quick 3-0 record with the world's largest MMA promotion. But it seems that both Maia and Fiorot are more than ready to face each other in the ring for what might be the most exciting fight of the year. Next, the Ribas and Waterson Starweight contest is off. In other important MMA news, Amanda Ribas and Michelle Waterson's strawweight contest at UFC Fight Night Blades vs Daukhaus has been called off. That outlet has reported that Waterson has suffered from an undisclosed injury and she will not be participating on March 26. It was also reported that the UFC has decided against finding a new opponent for Ribas. Instead, the fight is being postponed to UFC 274 and has been scheduled for May 7. Waterson and Ribas are both great fighters and are ranked 8th and 9th respectively in the UFC strawweight rankings. Ribas is 11-2 in her career currently and is also coming off a unanimous decision win over the previous Invicta champion Verna Yonderova. And before that, at UFC 271 in January 2021, Ribas suffered her first ever octagon defeat where she lost to Marina Rodriguez. But before that, she was perfect in 4 UFC showings, scoring smooth sailing wins over Paige Van Zandt, Ronda Marcos, and Mackenzie Dern. You might not be aware of this, but Waterson is a star player too. The fighter hosts an 18-9 record and also has 6 UFC wins under her belt. Her achievements include a submission over Paige Van Zandt and a win against players Felice Herrig and Carolina Kowalkiewicz. Lastly, what went down at the Invicta Fighting Championship? Invicta Fighting Championships are always a treat to watch because of their intense fights. The championship recently returned to Memorial Hall in Kansas City on Wednesday night and hosted a 5-fight show. This show featured a flyweight championship rematch between Karina Rodriguez and Diana Torcado. As you might have expected, the fight was fast-paced and had some unexpected results too. Both fighters were already familiar with each other, so their rematch was quite the showcase. Rodriguez started by firing some jabs, mixed with straight right hands, but Torcado was prepared as she worked on clinching up with and taking down the champion as soon as she could. The first round didn't include a whole lot of action since both fighters were giving each other space to mark territory in the ring. But when the second round started, Rodriguez came out with more straight right hands. Her moves were quick and forced Torcado to retreat a bit. Torcado's retreat during a crucial time was surprising for many fans, who weren't expecting the star to back down this easily. But when she closed the distance again, Torcado shot in immediately and secured a clear takedown. But her moment of glory couldn't last very long, since Rodriguez returned to her feet quickly. But the takedown had left its mark, and she couldn't perform as well again. And as a result of this, Torcado finished in half guard and came raining down punches and elbows to Rodriguez's head and body as the time expired. Toward the end of the match, Rodriguez pushed the pace and wanted to have one final brawl with Torcado. Some fans think she was trying her best to regain some ground over the game in its final moments. Maybe she wanted to go out with a bang. Nobody knows what Rodriguez was planning to do by the end of the fight, but it is clear that even though this was not the fight she prepared for, Rodriguez earned a hard-fought split decision over Torcado to retain her belt in the game. So what do you think? Did Harrison make a good decision? Does the future look promising for her? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Be sure to subscribe and we'll see you next time.